Some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Time's gone by, I've traded like dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning. How you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. Welcome to it, Robertson County and all points beyond. This is One Street Over. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and we appreciate you joining us Tuesday in the summertime. It's just a beautiful, beautiful day, and we appreciate you kind of spending some time with us. If you're new to the area, this is what we do every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. We talk to you about just things going on, what's going on one street over from where we're living. We like to hear about community events. We talk to the county mayor. We talk to the city manager, and we've got the Veteran Service Office will be in tomorrow. Today, though, we have one of my coworkers, one of my colleagues, Dr. Eric Wilson, is in the house, and you're going to pull that microphone to you. You know how these work. Tip it right there into your mouth there. Okay. Yeah. And Dr. Eric Wilson works with me at Greenbrier High School. But I want to, he's going to be here for the full hour because I have several things I want to talk to him about. First off, Bethany Tees is my therapist and my dear, dear friend up at Star Physical Therapy. And so I'm in there, I've had my knee replaced, so I'm in there therapy. I'm doing my therapy. And so she mentions that she goes, well, we need to reschedule Friday because I'm going to be off because we're doing a thing in Cross Plains at our church. And I remember her mentioning this, and I remember you mentioning it. And they're going to be singing on the porch of the church, and it's a trash and treasure thing. It's a whole community event. And so I told her, I said, well, oh man, I got to get Dr. Wilson in to talk about that. And so that's one thing I want to talk about. But I also want to talk about, this is something that I've spent a lot of time on air discussing this transition into teaching. Now you have been a teacher. You're a professor.
I was formerly, yes.
And at Trevecca?
Yes.
Nazarene.
Yes.
Trevecca
Nazarene University.
Yes.
I was there for 10 years. And prior to that, I was actually a professional firefighter for the city of Muncie in Indiana for 20 years.
So cool. So stinking cool. And you've got just such an interesting background, and you're so talented. Oh, my goodness.
Well, thank you.
Amazing musical talent. I've had, because I dabble in music, truly just dabble, but I'll go in and get Dr. Wilson to kind of help me with stuff, and you'll bounce off on some music theory, and I'm like, oh, it's deep, and I'm like, okay, because I don't know it yet. I want to learn it. I would love to learn it, and I love that I'm several students. I won't call them by my name, but one of them's in my homeroom. It's the young lady that we just love, and to see her just kind of come alive has just been, in her find her voice has been so much fun. Just watching that, she's just a doll. And I've just gotten such great, I don't get to have her in my homeroom anymore because you have her all the time teaching her stuff, but that's good, and so it's just wonderful. I just love seeing these kids just kind of find their voice and just kind of get their confidence.
As do I.
Yeah, it's so cool. So we're going to talk about that, but I kind of want to talk about, I've talked about how that, I'm older than you, but I don't know how much older.
Not by much.
I'm 61.
I'll be 56 in August.
Okay. So we're both kind of on the edge of retirement, maybe. And everybody's, I retired out of
God willing, yes.
I grew up, if you, staypositive.news, they did a little story on my husband and I about the whole thing about retiring into teaching. Retiring is just not something that I was raised in.
Right.
Because I'm from a farm.
Sure.
And my daddy was on the tractor all day the day he died, even though he was technically retired. Same with my husband's parents. They never retired.
Right.
Never. And you just did whatever you were purposed to do that day, and it's a mindset.
Sure.
And so this is just a perfect thing for me to transition into. I'll never give up the radio thing unless I get to where I can't speak, if I can do it, because it's just in my blood. But there's some things I just do. And so I kind of get you as kind of the one that doesn't really seem to have that retirement thing on you either. But
no, not really. I don't even think there's a biblical construct for retirement. I think we're put here to do what we do until the Lord has other plans for us.
Well, and I've got friends of mine that have taught for 30 years and they've retired from teaching, but they're going to do other things.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So for me, I did it in reverse.
Yeah.
I had my friend Muriel Barnett. She's 31 years and she just retired, and I'm stepping into teaching just as she's stepping out, and she's like, "Oh, LaVern."
Yeah.
But it's new to me. And so I'm just like, "Oh, it's exciting." And for her, she's just like, "No, she's got to do something different."
Right.
And so I get that. But I think finding our purpose is so important. And I find it so interesting how you came out of the collegiate world into teaching. And I've even heard you say that it ended up being just really better than you thought it would, right?
Yeah. It was, I love teaching at the collegiate level. I love that higher ed. And I actually did that for 19 years, 10 years at Trevecca. And I was an adjunct professor at Indiana Wesleyan University, taught voice there, taught theory and composition related disciplines at Trevecca, taught the theory and composition stuff as a graduate assistant at Ball State University when I was doing my degree work, and did that for 6 years. The running joke was that I was going to be the first GA granted tenure, but I was also working during that time as a firefighter.
Right,
so I was doing my degree work about half time when I was doing my master's and doctoral work, but had full professor loads on that. Got a lot of great teaching experience before it was my job.
Wow.
And it was a God thing. The whole thing on how it even worked out, how it even came about. I happened to be at the firehouse, stationed at the firehouse at the time that was just right on campus. I could trade a certain amount of time. The university worked with me. I had one guy that I traded time with. I would go and work like a Saturday for him, and he would pay me back in these 3 or 4 hour increments so that I could go in and either take a class or teach a class. The university worked with me so that if I was taking classes on Tuesday, Thursday, I taught Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and vice versa. So it was all a God thing. I couldn't have devised a wacky roadmap that would have led me to be able to do that. That was all God. So
see, and that's my experience too. And that's what's so fascinating. If you can, the kids, of course, I think I'm one of the oldest teachers there in the school, and the kids are all just like, "How old are you, Miss Vivio?" And I tease my homeroom kids because they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna," because I'm like their third homeroom teacher, their third time teacher.
Yeah, they realign every now and again.
"Oh, you're gonna leave too, Miss Vivio. You won't be here until we graduate." I said, "Unless the good Lord calls me home, honey, I'm gonna be your teacher until you graduate." And he goes, What do you mean? Unless you die? Is that what you mean? That's so dark, Miss Vivio. And they just can't even wrap their heads around being at this stage in life because they're so young.
And I've had those same conversations with some students before. I talk about them doing things 30 and 40 years ago. They said, I probably won't be here. And they, that's, no, I'm good with it. I'm here for a time. My eternity's already started. Eternity's now. I'm just living out this part of the timeline.
Yes. I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Exactly.
That's something that I've come see. This we just go all over the place here. I said I called Dr. Wilson. I said we can do an hour. I know we can. And I love that you said that because theologically, that's one of those things that people. That's the scripture where Christ says, broad is the way that leads to destruction, narrow is the path that leads to life
Right.
and life everlasting, and few find it.
Yeah.
Few find it now. That's
Exactly.
what he's talking about,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
He's
I
talking
agree.
about few find it when they can find
Right.
it, and that's right now.
That's right now.
And it just
Yeah.
changes everything. You know, you want to deal with your anxiety, live in kingdom and not empire.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a Bema thing. I don't know, Mark. Have you dabbled with Marty Solomon and the Bema podcast?
No,
and all that?
not
Ooh,
much.
it's
But
good.
that sounds
stuff.
interesting. I'll have to dive into that.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, but we won't go on those deep waters. But they're deep. But but the deeper you go, the more clarity you get
Sure.
in
Yeah.
all of that stuff. Well, so that's kind of where we are this morning. It took us 10 minutes to say hello and kind of lay out for you what we're going to talk about. So we are going to talk about, the need for teachers. I mean, I saw where one of our math teachers, I don't know if you got the buy from one of the math teachers, I didn't think was leaving. Did you see that?
Which one?
Curtis?
Yeah, I got the goodbye message.
was
I
like,
didn't know that was
"What?"
going to happen.
I didn't either. And so it's one of those things that I know that we have got several teachers that are trying to fill slots because we need teachers.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're doing in regards to the district as far as openings versus hirings and all of that
Yeah.
at this point.
Right.
But if you're so inclined to step into the classroom, and I really encourage you, if you're older and want to step into the classroom, do it.
Yes.
I mean, when I first started talking to Dr. Causey about this, my intent was to be an ELL teacher
Yeah.
because I have a
Okay.
great love for newcomers to this country
Sure.
and had done a lot of ESL work. And so I was going back to school.
Yeah, that's
to be
awesome.
An ELL. And I was starting to talk to colleges and stuff about what I would need to do and was going to try to get an embedded job or something like that.
Sure.
And I get the call that they need an AV program. I'm like, well, that sounds like a better option for me. And so that worked out. And so there's a lot of people who have career things. I mean, there's an audio video opening now at Springfield, guys. And I've talked to a few of my colleagues and tried to get them to apply for it. I don't know if they have from broadcasting. And so there is an audio video position open at Springfield, but you have to qualify for the CTE program through the state. And so there's a lot of things. If you want to reach out to me, I can kind of help you unpack that about what that requires.
Sure.
But if you want to do that, I have a friend of mine that he's talked about being an English teacher, but he's already got there's a lot of people that already are degreed up to where they could do a lot that they don't even realize they could do,
Sure.
or maybe take a few classes. We need you in the classroom. And I think we need older teachers
Oh,
that have
absolutely.
got some life experience that can encourage these kids and not just be like, oh, the sky is falling.
I'm sure.
No, it's not. The sky's the limit. That's what I tell my kids.
Exactly.
The sky's the limit
Yeah.
right now. And I mean, yeah, it's different. It's different than it was when I was a kid, but that's okay.
Sure. Time
You know?
goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk about that. But I tell you what, let's start by unpacking what is going on in Cross Plains. So what is this Trash and Treasure thing? What is your event this
So-
weekend? Because it's Friday and Saturday,
Yes.
correct? Okay, so what's going on?
So we piggybacked on this event, actually. It's been around for a little while. Trash and Treasures, it's a community-wide, for all intents and purposes, garage sale flea market. So people can put their own wares out and that kind of thing. But we also have vendors who set up. And after I got to Cross Plains United Methodist Church, which is where my wife Melissa and I lead music, we've got a choir there. We have an embarrassment of riches for musical talent in this tiny little church.
I love that.
It really is.
Embarrassment of riches. I like that.
Wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
people and
Yeah.
wonderful body of Christ. But we got there and saw what this thing was. And a lot of the vendors set up in our parking lot, which is right across the street from the church. And it becomes kind of the central hub of the whole event.
The church does.
In the
Okay.
parking lot.
Cool.
And there's lots of great vendors out there. Some really good barbecue. Keys Barbecue is out there. I put in a little plug for them, and lots of other things that happen there. But I got to thinking, why don't we just set up on the porch and just play for a little while?
I think that's wonderful.
It'd be so fun, you know?
Yeah.
So Bethany, and my wife, Neil and Fauna Murphy, Barry Richards, who is a good friend of yours. We get Barry. Really? Barry, yes. Plays mandolin and has some pretty good vocals himself. So we don't get him all the time these days because he's so busy. Yeah. So there was one year I remember most of the morning was spent with him sprinting back and forth, and it always seems to be the hottest day of the year.
Yeah.
But we had a very sweaty, exhausted Barry that was helping us when he could, and that's a standing invitation for him whenever he wants to come back and play with us for this. But he's there. He's in our church. He's our AV guru. He's the one that makes all of that.
He's brilliant.
Thank God for him during COVID.
Love him.
Is all I've got to say. He brought us into
we'll
the 21st
be talking about him in a minute.
Yes.
I do an ad for him every day.
And actually, Larry Staggs, you'd mentioned Mr. Larry Staggs. He's actually going to come play bass with us this year. So it'll be fun. So we just set up the band on the front porch. My daughter and son-in-law, the Reverends, Brad and Kate Ratliff, all the way from Fort Recovery, Ohio, they'll be in to share with us as well. They've been with us the last couple of years.
Bethany mentioned them to me and said they're just phenomenal.
They are. They're unbelievable.
Wow.
Just really, really. I mean, God has made them for what they do in such a powerful way. Wherever they go, they make an impact, and it's just them being who they are. They're just phenomenal, crazy talented, crazy gifted on everything that they touch. It seems like so. It's just the way they are. But yeah, we set up, we play. It's almost an informal jam session to a certain degree. We are getting together Thursday evening to rehearse some tunes, some newer things, and that kind of thing. And but we kind of scroll through and just what chart do you want to play next, but it becomes a really cohesive thing. Usually after that first rehearsal, we start to sound like a real band.
I love it.
But it's a lot of fun though. It really is, and it's a blessing for us. Hopefully it's a blessing for the community. We try to be respectful of the volume and not overpower everything. So we occasionally have to have somebody come and tell us, hey, how does it sound out there? Are we too loud? Do we need to back it down a little bit? So we try to be respectful of that. But have a lot of people who stop and sing along. Sometimes we encourage that. We pull people off the street sometimes to come up and sing along with us and that kind of thing. So yeah, it is a lot of fun. It really is. But wonderful to get together and to worship openly like that for the town. And everybody's up till now it's been very respectful. We've never had any kind of condescension or anybody hurling insults or anything like that at us.
Jesus away from me.
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
Let's cross planes.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. It's just it's cross planes, so you don't expect it.
But people are very respectful, and you can tell the ones who really get something out of it. Have a lot of people who come up and hey, thank you for what you're doing here. This is a great thing. We go from 9 to noon both days.
That was my next question because that was try not to hit the desk.
I'm so sorry.
A rattle there.
So sorry.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay.
I talk with my hands. I'm not even Italian,
and
but
I have to stop myself because we rattle these mics. But that was even Bethany yesterday. I was at my therapy session. And I said, "So what time?" She goes, "I don't know." She goes, "You'll probably find out before I do, since Dr. Wilson's going to be on with you tomorrow."
She should know. It's usually 9 to noon.
That's what she was saying. She thought that's what it would be.
Yeah, and then right around noon, our choir usually caps it off with a couple of numbers that we'll do with tracks. So
fun.
It's a lot of fun. But you get a chance.
I'm gonna try to stop by. I'm gonna do my best because I love Cross Plains. I really do.
So
it is just such a sweet town.
It is.
And I hadn't spent I've spent a ton of time there because of the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival.
Okay.
Have you ever been to the Bluegrass Festival?
I have not gotten a chance to go. Yeah. Well, Barry keeps me informed because he plays with Square Pegs, who is actually another plug playing at our church this Sunday. So there's our surprise guests that's on the marquee. It says surprise guests this week. But we are between pastors, and we have a 1 week that's kind of a layover, and we would fill that ordinarily with a hymn sing, special music, that kind of thing. But we could get the Square Pegs this year. So
fun. See, I knew Barry did that, but he is very low key about it.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't really talk about that. But
Barry is definitely that iceberg. He is that guy that you see a little bit on the surface, and just the mass below.
Super talented.
Very gifted individual.
We're embarrassing.
Yes.
Listening, Barry. I love it.
But it's true. His his skill sets
Yeah.
do so much for our church and our community. I mean, just really,
That's so cool.
The things that he and Rebecca do, just phenomenal.
Yes, we got to tag Rebecca in there, his bride. They're just the cutest couple, too. They're just so sweet. And I tell you what, this is a good place to transition because I do have a couple of ads I need to do. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the Richardses and Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. As you can hear, they're involved in the community. They've been in Cross Plains for just about 30 years. They're right on the edge of 30 years that they've been living in Cross Plains. Cross Plainians, we like to call you guys. And they are just experts at everything they do. It's so interesting. Rebecca came out of a radiology background. Did you know that? She was a radiologist many years ago, but she, like a lot of people, thought, I kind of want to do real estate part-time. And then she got into it and she went full-time. And again, this has been a long time ago because she was one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She's been an agent up in the White House area forever. I forget the exact years, but a long time. And then so Barry would help her and do all, because his background, he was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years up in Nashville. So that's his background. And so he would help her with the videography and the photography and the drone footage and the walkthrough tours. And he started doing his own thing. Next thing you know, he's full-time in real estate and he's the broker here in Springfield. There you go. And so I say that because if you're somebody that's kind of thinking you might be interested in real estate, they're perfect to talk to because they both transitioned out of other careers to do what they're doing and doing it so incredibly successfully. I mean, really. And so they've been part of the Garden Gate team forever and ever. But then earlier this year, they put a new branch in the Exit tree, and it's Exit Prime Realty. And they combined the brokerage office that Barry is the broker here in Springfield. She's an agent up in White House. They combined those two offices to bring you Exit Prime Realty. And the easiest, you can Google them. Just Barry Richards, Exit Prime Realty, Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty, or you can give them a call, 615-504-7425. That's Rebecca's number, 615-504-7425. And just remember that they specialize in Robertson County, but they also buy and sell in surrounding counties across the state line in Kentucky because they're from Kentucky, y'all. Reach out to them today and please let them know their ad dollars are working, and maybe we'll see Barry on the stage this weekend too. I don't know. We'll see. And let them know you from Kentucky. So with all of this going on, so tell me the name of your church again.
So it's Cross Plains United Methodist Church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cross Plains United Methodist.
It's not hard to find. It's right there on Highway 25. If you know where Thomas Drugs, they've got the historic soda fountain and all of that. Yeah. It's just right down the street from that. So
that's what I was thinking.
You find Cross Plains, you're gonna find the church.
Sure.
It's just right there in the main drag.
Well, I'm planning on stopping by. I love Bethany. I love you too. And I mean, Bethany and I are just good friends. And so she told me she's gonna do this. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah.
And so I'm planning on stopping by for just a little bit. I don't know. With nursing this knee, you don't want to be out in the heat much when you're
I would imagine
a knee replacement because it just is not comfortable.
I have that in my future, so it's good to know.
Yeah, it's good. She's actually going to come on, kind of tease a future show. We're working it out right now to get her in here to talk about joint replacement because she's been a therapist for a very long time, so she can really speak to it from the therapy. Because she actually helped me decide some things about timing for myself. Yeah. And, there's somebody doing a different procedure where they go along the side of the knee rather than the center of the knee, and kind of comparing that to what my doctor, Dr. Hodrick, does. I stuck with my doctor, Dr. Hodrick, because he's just brilliant. And but nonetheless, she kind of helped me understand the nuances of that. She knows her stuff. And so
she's great. Yeah.
And if you're having joint pain, there's no reason to live with it. And if, everybody says, well, you can rebuild cartilage. No, you can't. You can maintain cartilage and you can keep it. Like my husband started taking supplements 20 years ago. Yeah. So he has right now saved his left knee.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's still got cartilage in there.
That's wonderful.
Mine doesn't. It's bone on bone. You can't fix that. You just can't. If you've still got some, you can improve it. But we'll talk more about that with Bethany. And that's from what I have. And I mean, I've studied a lot about it. That's been my understanding of it. But yeah, take supplements now, and you might be able to save yourself from this. And we'll see. But Dr. Wilson is here to talk about all things music and teaching and all of that. So this event this weekend goes on Friday and Saturday. Do you know the hours of the actual event? Because you're going to be there from 9 to noon Friday and Saturday.
Right. And
Correct?
yes, and I don't know. Yeah, we play 9 to noon, noonish, and it rotates in and out. Sometimes it's the full band, sometimes it's a solo piece, sometimes
Sure.
it's a couple little feature things, sometimes a little duet or a trio, some old hymn, that kind of thing. So we pull in a lot of little things like that. But the event itself, I honestly don't know if there is an official start time and stop time. I know
I gotcha.
the vendors usually begin setting up Thursday night. So they start usually marking out the spaces in the park. It's a gravel parking lot, so it doesn't
Sure,
really matter. They'll spray paint the.
Yeah, it's like, I'm here.
Right. Yeah. So
My
they'll
spot.
do that, or they'll start
Yeah.
setting up
Right.
the night before. And like I said, we start around 9. Friday is usually very light at the beginning.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of obviously, the work day for a lot of
Sure.
folks. But then it starts to pick up as it goes along. Saturday is usually pretty busy.
Okay.
From 8 or 9 o'clock on, and I think they usually run at least on the Friday. I know that they go until 4 or 5 at least, because I've driven back through, and it's still going strong. And Saturday is usually about the same thing, maybe a little earlier.
So you've got the vendors there, but
Yes.
do you also have like the community that's right there in the immediate area doing like yard sale kind of things?
Yes, yeah.
I would think that we kind of spill over. So it's like a big community yard sale,
flea
thrift
market,
store, that kind
whatever
that
you want to
sounds
call
fun.
it. Yeah. Oh, it is.
Yeah, you love that kind of stuff, you
Oh,
know. And I know some people that travel those long ones,
Oh, yeah.
This is one you can do in your little community, and you can just kind of walk around and
Yeah.
all that. So, yeah, we're going to come check it out. We're going to
Yeah.
come check it out as long as my knee will let me. But now I'm real curious if Barry's going to be there. I'm going to have
Sure.
to reach out to him today and go, "Are you going to come play?"
Well, I appreciate all the help we can get to get our
Okay.
mandolin player in there.
Okay, I'll get on it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I really knew he was somebody. I play mandolin, but I ain't playing it in front of nobody.
Yeah.
I won't play an instrument in front of anybody. I dabble.
Yes.
I'm not accomplished enough to get up in front of somebody and play. I've done that a little bit, but I just don't have
It's
the
kind
confidence
of like
to do
Nike. You got to just do it. Just
that. I guess
wherever you
I'm just
are,
not there.
yes.
Maybe you can help bring me along.
Absolutely.
I'll go into his classroom every now and then. I'll be like, "Can you show me this?" And I really want to learn keyboard.
Sure.
I really want to learn.
Well, we can
keyboard.
work on that.
Yeah, and I've just had so many other with the.
I understand.
There's just so much going on, and
understand.
so
And you do a fantastic job with all of that
Thank
AV stuff.
you.
I am amazed at what you've. When we were there in your classroom filming that little blurb toward the
yeah
end of
for
the.
the
I was just amazed at what all you've got
Eyes
going
of
on in
March.
there, and I always look forward to the newscasts that
Thank you.
that you have them put. But those students, I don't know that they fully appreciate that kind of a privilege that they have to be able to have you guiding them
well, thank you.
through these. And I don't say that to kiss up to you. It's
No,
it's
but you're very kind.
it's honest to God's truth. I mean that was something that if when we were in high school,
Yeah,
that would have been something that would have been really over the top. Still is.
Yeah.
They just don't realize it maybe
Yeah.
as much because they're so used to all of the technology
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But the way that you're able to funnel that and hone that, and some of those kids, I've had some of those kids in my classes, and it's like, they didn't act like that in my classroom, but look at that. They look professional.
yeah. There's 2 or 3 that come to mind, and I put them in front of the camera, and they're just naturals.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Aiden is probably, the 2
Yeah.
Aidens,
Oh, yeah.
both of them
Oh, yeah.
really, that just, and honor. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, honor.
Honor.
I'm gonna miss those. I'm gonna miss honor. and Aiden
I already
a lot,
miss her. She
'cause they're
came
so
to my
professional
mind
in front of the
yesterday.
camera.
Yeah.
Yes, they were so much
Well,
fun.
even Lucas.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just so impressed
I know.
with some of the work that
Yes.
that they do.
Yes,
There's
so
probably
many
some
of
of them that I'm leaving out. But
Yeah. Oh, and there's several coming along, and it's just so much fun. And we just want to build that and get better and better and better. And it's just been a blast to watch them. And I can't wait. That little Ides of March thing we did.
Yeah.
We're gonna really step that. I mean, next year I really
That
want
was a
that
lot
to be
of fun. That
I
was
really
just-
want that to be a
it was fun.
production.
Yeah,
next year.
sure.
Maybe come in the theater and do
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
And do it and really do it right.
Yeah.
And what's your actor's name that did Caesar for me?
Tyler?
Tyler, he's
Yeah.
a mess. That's a talented young man, though.
He certainly
Wow.
is. He certainly
really is.
And I think he has a gift for it. I think that he has a heart for it. And I think
Yeah.
that's what his plans are in the future. And
Yeah. And
as a matter of fact, we had a voice lesson yesterday in my home studio.
blessing. I mean, so smart too.
Yes.
And,
Oh, yeah.
And just, but
Yeah,
he's-
ACT scores through the roof. I mean,
Yeah.
just all around outstanding
yeah,
young man. Yeah.
that's just it. But he was fun to watch. But they're all fun to watch, and that's one of the things too. Is this is something that I wish we would do at Greenbrier. And I had the woman's name escapes me, but she's here in the district office, and she's working with the I guess HR kind of thing. She's not our person up at she's not Miss Causey is the one that's sitting there is doing our payroll and stuff, but I can't remember her name. But she came in and we were talking about recruitment and things like that, and she was talking about seeing a school that they were trying to make sure kids don't fall through the cracks.
Sure.
And so they put all the kids' names up in the teacher's lounge, and they had these little dots. And if you felt like you had a personal relationship with that child, you put a
That's
dot.
wonderful. Yeah.
And so the idea was to say, just like you and I both had relationships with Honor and Aiden and different ones, so we would put the dot there. So is to find the ones that don't have a dot.
Yeah.
That maybe, if they're in my class, I think, well, another teacher's connecting with them. Well, are they? Are you identifying that? And so I was talking to our counselors, at the end of the school year. I was like, man, could we do that?
Sure.
And I would love to see us do something like that.
Oh yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be great?
One of the things you mentioned, the homeroom classes and that kind of thing. That's where I teach. I teach vocal music, class piano, AP music theory, and theater. So if a kid's not involved in those, I don't get a chance to see them. But
Right.
my homeroom is relatively large. I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 students at any given time, 25 and 30. And they come from all over.
Yeah.
But there are students that I feel like I've been able to foster a little bit of a relationship with in the half hour that we have with them.
Yeah.
And I've been one that I think that we need to do one of two things. Just my opinion, they either need to shorten that to the beginning of the day and take care of the business and move on and use the rest of the time with the other classes, or they need to lengthen it into a longer period of time where we can actually do some things with them, especially since it's supposed to be quote unquote instruction time now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things, but being able to foster that relationship with a few of them in just that little bit amount of time that we have together, and we're taking like you said, we're taking care of the business of the day, whatever thing they've got going on, and there's always something going on, right? It's high school; it's very active. So, but yeah, some of them, even the ones that are decidedly not interested in school.
There are some, believe it or
yes,
not.
there are some that just they don't want to be there.
Yeah,
they
they
want to
don't.
walk through it,
Yeah.
and
They're ready
and
for that.
yeah,
Just get me
some
out.
of them they're ready for even as soon as I'm old enough, I'm walking
out.
away from this and trying to be able to foster a relationship with some of those kids and say, hey, look, what is it you want to do? Beyond high school, you can't live in your room forever.
Yeah.
You've got to go out there and do that. Well, I want to do this. Well, in order to do that, you need to do this.
Yeah.
This thing here. That's going to put you at a severe disadvantage if you don't follow through with at least the basics of high school. There's a lot of things that may not be relevant for you beyond that, other than building skills of being able to follow through on something. I said that's the biggest thing these days, especially, is following through. I mean, employers talk about half the battle is just getting people to show up on time. That's a basic skill set, and that's what, if nothing else, high school should be helping with that, But trying to encourage them and say, hey, look, I know it seems irrelevant right now, but trust me, you're going to regret it if you don't finish this thing. Walk through it, jump through the hoops, anything I can do to help you, I'm happy to do that. I'll get you connected to whoever, if you're having trouble with this thing, there are ways for you to get connected to people who can help you. So yeah, that's kind of become a little kind of a passion of mine, is trying to instill just this basic, hey, look, you're not my kid, but I love you like my kid in this result. I want the best for you, you know, and I'm not going to give you advice that's going to endorse something that's going to lead you down something that I know is going to create you hardship down the road. You know, follow through on this basic thing.
I love it. And see, and we have a little bit of an edge. We have a big edge that we have Miss Grimes and the Renaissance program.
Oh yes, yeah.
That rewards the academic side of it.
Yeah,
so
she's a dynamo. Yeah.
Man, she's just I love her, and just tirelessly working to really encourage these kids academically, and that's just so unusual, because usually it's the athlete, it's the
Right.
It's that person that's just easily stands out. But I have really enjoyed that aspect of it. But there's still things that fall through the cracks. And like you
Absolutely.
said, I know with the audio video program the way we have, if we do what I really want to do, it may come to a place where it's going to be really hard for me to keep a homeroom. Not this year.
Sure.
Because I'm not there's no way I'm letting my seniors go. Never mind. I'm staying with them. But I had talked to Dr. Osborne. I said, I want to do a live stream newscast. Live stream newscast.
That'd be awesome.
Is what I would like to do. It's what I want to
fantastic.
build to. And to do that, we would need to do it during the homeroom time.
Sure.
So I said, I don't know what that looks like. And maybe we can still manage it all, but you will have to see, and because you have to have students that are willing to take on that responsibility.
Right.
And that's a lot. I mean, you're producing something.
Sure
So
is. Yeah.
anyway, so I never know what the next thing is going to look like, but as long as we're building on it, it's like I told them when we were doing the little interview you would be a good interview. I'm going to put they need to talk to you for Stay Positive News and tell your story, I think, because coming out of the college, I mean, who comes out of a college and goes back into high school? Why would you do? But it's a calling.
It is,
Really?
yeah, and it really, to put it simply, I loved my time at Trevecca. Really did. Have a lot of colleagues who were there at the same time. Students that are out there doing exactly what they went to school to do on world stages. I mean, literally, it's wonderful to see, following them on social media and that kind of thing. Philip Noel, he plays bass for Carly Pierce, but he was one of my former students. But
Cool.
But he posts regularly the whatever arena he happens to be in, wherever it is in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean in the world.
Yeah.
But he's not alone. There are several of those.
Yeah.
We've had students singing opera on the stage in Vienna. We've had all over Europe. And all of these commercial musicians who are out there playing with everyone and doing all of these wonderful, magnificent things. It's wonderful to see them excel at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as things change and they come along and that kind of thing, we all have seasons. The Lord leads us through, and it was just evident to me that it was time to move on. And it was there again a God thing that got me to this position, because my wife actually got the call for this position that I currently hold. She's also a music teacher, phenomenal musician, singer in her own right. She's my favorite singer.
She should be.
But yes,
Very good.
yeah, she's fantastic. She's fantastic. Best singer in my opinion in the world.
That's wonderful.
So, but she's phenomenal. But she'd actually gotten the call saying, "Hey, just want to let you know, there is a position open at Greenbrier High School," and she said, I'm kind of actually holding out for an elementary position, and they said, just so happens that the position at Robert F. Woodall Elementary in White House is open. Would you be interested in that? And she said, yes, I would. It's 4 minutes from our house.
There you go.
Or 4 miles from our house.
Yeah.
About a little longer on the minutes, but 4 miles from our house. She went in, they offered her the job on the spot. Well, one of my other friends who happened to also be leaving Trevecca, Dr. Matt Murdoch, he is up at Sycamore School in Indianapolis now, private school there. He was on his way out of town. He and his wife, Kim, had stopped in, and we were just chatting, and he said, you ought to think about that job at Greenbrier. And I said, well, I don't know. I said, my degrees are all, higher education. I said, I don't have public school licensure. He said, I don't know that it's going to matter. And I said, well, okay, I'll think about it. So that afternoon, I ticked off a little email to Dr. Osborne, and she wrote back right away, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, within an hour or two, said, let's talk. So later that week, we got together, and they offered me the job, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's not anything that we had planned. In the course of June to the end of July, we had moved into a new house, courtesy of Barry and Rebecca Richards, by the way, Exit Realty.
Exit Prime Realty.
Yes, Exit Prime Realty.
There you go.
And then we'd both changed jobs, just boom, boom, like that. Again, God's timing on all of that. But stepped into the position at Greenbrier there, and it's been wonderful. There's always challenges stepping into something new, but it's been wonderful. It's my commute is way better.
Yes.
It's fighting that Nashville traffic every day. We lived in Hendersonville at the time, and that 27-mile commute sometimes took me 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. It's just Nashville exploding the way that it is. But so grateful for that, grateful for the place where we are, grateful for my new colleagues, and a new way to, like I said, I do miss higher ed to a certain degree of being able to go deeper and broader into some of the topics. But I've also been able to help a brand new generation of students that aren't quite there yet, including one, Jake. I don't know if you know Jake or not. Did well at everything as well. Again, he was one of those that phenomenal. But he's actually planning on pursuing music at the collegiate level.
So he graduated. Was he?
He graduated this last year. Yeah.
I don't know that I know him. Yeah.
So yeah, but he phenomenal student. But being able to cross paths and prepare even some students that plan to do this thing or some semblance of. I'm kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to this. I try to be the ultimate side man. If you need help, I can do that and do it well enough to not get in the way, and that's kind of what I try to do with everything that I do. But being able to talk to Jake and some of these other students who are planning on pursuing music and being able to be very honest with them, as I was with my prospective college students. I told them, look, making a living in the arts is inherently a tricky thing. It's not something that I've got this degree, I'm employable. No, it's there's a lot of people out there paying for very expensive barista degrees, and as much as I love coffee and baristas, there's a lot cheaper way to do that if that's your life's goal, But it's kind of one of those things, the education does this for you. It makes you multifaceted. The multi-stream income is the key word, even for some of the A-listers. I mean, even those people that their names, they're usually doing something else as well. They're writing, they're producing, they're doing, recording sessions with other people. They're even if it's a facet of the industry, they're still doing something else other than that thing that you know them for most of the time. It's just kind of, it goes with the territory. So going in with their eyes wide open and being able to prepare them a little bit for, hey, this is the journey ahead. And it's a lot of hard work. I mean, that's where a lot of music majors and people in the arts kind of wash out, is they don't realize, it's not just fun anymore. It's a lot of hard, it's serious work, because you're getting ready to make that your job. You're getting ready to make that the thing that you want to be your primary vocation. It's a lot of hard work. The only people who are really on campus as much as people studying the arts are the medical folks. I mean, it's necessary.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's one of the things that I've shared with mine as well, my students, is, everyone's like, oh, you're on the radio. It's a very tough industry. I got laid off in the middle of my shift after 28 years. It's a cutthroat business.
Oh yeah.
Cutthroat business.
I've heard.
And I was very fortunate to make a good living to that point, but then they decided we can do this a lot cheaper. They got rid of me, went to a much cheaper option.
Yeah.
I was ready to move on, but I didn't know what to do at that point. And being able to do this now, it's just, I tell my kids, I had Alex Maddox is a student. He's actually going to be in here on Thursday because he was in this new movie, this rodeo movie that came out.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But, well, bless his heart, he had, his scene was not on screen.
Oh, man.
And that's the hard thing.
Yeah,
is because you will go through it and you're like, okay, I'm on camera. Then you get there and they're like, oh, the angle's wrong. And so that I didn't get to be seen, even though he's in the credits. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, bud. But that's the reality of it. Yeah. And it's just a very hard industry to be in.
Well,
and
it shouldn't feel too bad. There are a lot of really famous actors whose scenes get cut from very, very big, high-dollar movies.
Well, and he's going to come in and talk to us Thursday because it was filmed in part locally.
Sure.
And he's going to talk to us about that. But and I think a lot of it is I've been just, telling him, you've got to have a way to make a living. He's going to be an EMT.
Okay.
And I'm so proud of him because he loves all the audio video stuff. Mm-hmm. There's another student, I won't call her name out, but she's another one of our brilliant students. Yeah. She really wants to be a voice actress.
Yeah, okay.
I told her, I said, be an engineer and be a voice actress on the side because you're brilliant. And I'm just begging her to really go into some really profitable career that you're good at.
Sure.
And then you can do all these fun things.
Right.
You can do all these fun things, and who knows, you might make it.
Right.
And I tell them all the time, dream big. Don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. But you got to make a living in the meantime.
Right. Yeah.
And the arts are difficult, and audio video, that's the arts.
Right.
It's just like being an actor.
Yep.
Being on camera, doing news.
Sure is.
It's being an actor, y'all.
Yeah.
And there are some, I talk about Lawrence, I think it's Lawrence Jones is the guy's name on Fox News, real handsome African-American guy. He was at the Blaze doing little drop-ins when I was there.
Okay.
And I mean, working pretty much for free.
Sure.
Just, barely getting in it. The dude's, telling what he's making now.
Sure.
So it does happen.
Right.
It does happen. But it's just, you just never know.
Right.
You just never know. So dream big, but know how you're going to make a living.
Yeah.
And anyway, let me do my last break here and we'll continue talking. I just wanted to really talk to Dr. Wilson because coming out, there's so many different ways to get you into a classroom. Here in this district, we've got a wonderful district. It is just, you got a lot of people who love Jesus in the schools. And I mean, we're not up there preaching to the kids, but they can see the light in us and it matters. And if you're somebody that, that's older and you're wanting to really help rebuild your community from the inside out, consider it. If you maybe don't have the qualifications, you think, I can't imagine teaching full time. Well, how about subbing? Be a substitute teacher or be a bus driver. There you go, Dr. Or Mr. Heinerman. Because my husband worked with the buses before he became a criminal justice teacher. So we need you in the school system is the point. And this is a way for you to really love on these kids. And so many of these kids just don't have that.
That's correct.
I tell my kids I love them. And
I do too.
And they look at me sometimes when I first say that, like, really? I'm like, yeah, I love you. And 2 or 3 of them are coming to mind right now that I've just got such a great relationship with. And I really think they just need to know, yes, you're loved.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that their parents don't love them, but they just don't know really how to show them because they're just working all the time. And maybe they're single parent homes and they're just barely keeping their head above water. And they neglect that thing that they don't realize is the main thing their kids need. And it's not anything on them. Right. It's just where they are in their life.
Yeah, life
it's
happens.
Hard.
Yeah.
And so, we need you in the school system. We really need you in the school system. And he and I can, testify to the fact it's fun. You're going to love it. The kids keep you young and it's a good time. But I was talking about, I'm going to talk to them at staypositive.news. I want them to do a story on you and your wife. I think that'd be awesome. But I told them, I said, I'm going to stay in the classroom as long as I'm bringing something of value to the students. And that may be when I'm 80. I don't know. And I think, as long as we're bringing something of value to those kids, those students, and can help them, then I'm going to stay there. So, so don't think just because you're a certain age that you can't bring something of value to those students. Yeah. Yes, you can. And we need you. With that said, let's talk about our sponsor, Veterans Motorplex. If you have you been to the races up
I
in here?
have
You've
not,
got
but
to
I
go.
heard
So much
your
fun.
spot yesterday when you were talking
So
to the
much fun.
Driscolls.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've got to do that this summer.
It's a blast.
So yeah,
It is a
I grew
blast.
up in a town that had an 8th mile high bank.
Yeah.
And they used to do what they called the mini 500.
Yeah.
The night before the Indianapolis 500.
Oh, wow.
So it was sprint cars
Yeah.
on this little tiny track, but it was exciting.
Yeah.
33 sprint cars, full size sprint cars on this 8th mile high bank.
Yeah.
So I thought this sounded like it. It's a 1/4 mile high bank
Yeah.
from what I've been given.
Yeah,
ever
it is a
since.
quarter
Yeah.
mile, and they just did a big renovation out there, so it's even better. And it's historical. It's been around. Mayor Vogel was talking about going when he was a young man, and talking about some of the big names. I don't know racing names, and I had done a lot of things at the racetrack in Nashville through the radio station. My kids, one of their most vivid memories is me doing the Macarena out in the middle of the racetrack, because we were doing some radio stunt,
That's awesome.
And so I would go to the races to do radio stunts.
Yeah.
But then I'd leave after my part was over, because I just wasn't into the races.
Sure.
Yeah, it's cool. And I had never really sat and watched a race until Jerry started bringing us ads from Veterans Motorplex. So I went several times last year. It was a blast.
Yeah.
It was an absolute blast. And they even had the big 18-wheelers come out. And,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the big
that's awesome.
trucks.
That's cool.
That
I've never
was
been to one of
cool.
those.
That
Yeah.
was cool. And I don't know if they're going to do that this year. It's usually later in the season, but that'll be a fun time. But it is just an absolute blast coming up. Now they're going to do looks like they've got a big fundraiser for Down syndrome. He does a lot of fundraising for Down syndrome, and they're going to have a fundraiser this Saturday for the Down Syndrome Foundation. They've got Dunkin' booths and different things like that. It's going to be happening. And again, this is the old Highland Rim Speedway. If you want to find out what's going on with them social media wise, you have to follow Highland Rim Speedway. They kept the social media presence that they had when Jerry bought the place and turned it into Veterans Motorplex, because they had 19,000 followers. Of course, you're going to keep that. So, but they changed the banner. But again, this is the big fundraiser for Down syndrome this weekend. That will be an absolute blast. Remember, that $40 ticket will get you up to 8 people in. That's up to 6 kids and 2 adults for a $40 ticket price. You're at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. A lot of the kids, some of our kids at Greenbrier, that's their first summer job. It's so much fun. It is a good time. I had no idea how much fun it was going to the races. It is a blast. If you haven't been, you need to get out there every Saturday through October, and they might even do some Saturdays in November, because we got a late start due to the renovations. Just follow them on social media at Highland Rim Speedway and get out and help them raise some money for Down syndrome this weekend, and be sure and let them know. All right, here we go. Let's recap what we're doing with Trash and Treasure this week. It's 10 minutes. We've got an hour.
Wow.
Believe it goes
I believe when we get talking, it
Yeah.
happens. Yes.
Yeah. So I tell everybody, just come in. It's just like sitting on the porch and chit-chatting, and everybody gets to listen. So we've got in Cross Plains, the big city of Cross Plains, they have got, if you've not spent any time in Cross Plains, you need to get out there. Wonderful community. But they've got their Trash and Treasure event happening this weekend, so unpack it for me.
So Friday and Saturday, there are vendors. There's lots of good food. There's crafts. There's like a big flea market. There'll be some yard sales set up along the line. But the kind of central hub of the whole thing is right there in front of Cross Plains United Methodist Church on Highway 25. Vendors are set up in the parking lot across the street, and we will set up and play some worship music, some old hymns, lots of things. It's like a big open rehearsal to a certain degree, but just worshiping the Lord and in song. Come by, sing along, make some requests. We'll do them if we can, that kind of thing. But we'll be playing from 9 to noon Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
It'll be warm, but it always is. It's part of the character of the thing. It's kind of like going to an amusement park for the day. You just know that at the end of the day, you're going to be a little hot and sweaty. Yes, exactly. So, and then the Cross Plains United Methodist Church worship choir will cap off the whole thing around noonish, and they are a small but mighty group, about a dozen folks, but they sing very, very well.
That's awesome.
And it's always a treat for us to be able to share the gospel through music in this way, and hopefully it blesses some folks along the way too.
I think so. And it just sounds wonderful. And again, I found out about this because if you've gone to start physical therapy and your therapist is Bethany Tees, She's part of it. Is she part of the choir?
She's part of the
She's gonna kill
choir.
me.
She's part of
She'll
the praise
stop
band.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
get me.
Yes. Absolutely.
But see, and that's one of those things. She has never been, because I work with the praise band up at Epiphany some, and on the CR night, and she and I have been friends for a while, and she never told me that she did that.
Oh, she sings so well.
Yeah.
She has such a sweet voice.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
There's
to hear.
been a lot of things that we've done as a trio. Things since we live so far away from our daughter now.
Yeah.
Some things that
You
we
had to
used to
adopt
do with
her.
her. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we kind of adopted
Yeah.
Bethany as our surrogate daughter there
I love it.
to replace Kate. Sorry, Kate.
Well, she's-
while we're here in Tennessee. But yeah, she does a lot of really wonderful things. Just the sweetest voice. I mean, just really, you'll be able to maybe hear her do some solo work
I'm
and some
excited.
duets and that kind of thing too.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun.
And now it's on the radio, so it's out there. She's got to do it. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She.
yeah.
Well, and I mean, because I'm in the middle of therapy right now, and so she rescheduled me from Friday.
Yeah.
And that's how I found out about all this. And that's one thing, guys. Reach out to me if you've got something going on in the community that needs to be publicized. You can message me on social media. You can call me 615-594-7736. 615-594-7736. Text me, because if you call me and I don't recognize your number, I'm not going to answer it.
Right.
But just text me and say, hey, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so, and we need to come on radio. Because that's how we know what's going on one street over from where we're living. That's what our objective is here. So I love finding these things out. And I just appreciate you coming and giving me an hour of your summer break.
Oh, happy to do it.
Yeah,
happy
for
to put in
sure.
a little plug for it and maybe
Sure.
pique some interest. Like I said, hopefully, some folks will hear and show up and be blessed, and they'll just have a good time in general. The vendors are out there, and there's some wonderful things. Like I said, the food is wonderful. We have a phenomenal artist in our church, Mr. George Miller. He always sets up a booth too. I assume he's doing one this year, but he's
Canvas
been a little
artist?
bit of everything. But he, very well accomplished. I can't even go into his resume of what he does and what he's done, but there are people at a very high level who have commissioned him to do
Really?
some
that'll be
wonderful
fun to
work.
see.
But yeah,
Okay.
so I recommend stopping by his booth if you got a chance. You'll recognize him. He's a gentleman that looks a little bit like Mark Twain. And
Fun.
yes, yeah, but wonderful guy, and great artwork there. But lots of vendors like that all over the place. Just wonderful stuff. Great food. It's sometimes very hard for me to get through the whole set before I get over to the barbecue cart.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what are we going to eat? That's one of the best things. You go and you kind of look out, scope out, because it's that
Exactly.
kind of food
Yeah.
that you can only get at
Oh,
this
yeah.
kind of event,
It is,
know.
yeah.
And will anybody have funnel cakes?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what all is along the main
Yeah,
drag there,
yeah.
because really around the corner where the Richards booth usually is right across from the Thomas Drugs there, and that kind of thing. So there are vendors.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
You can go in and
there
get
are
something
vendors
from
along-
Oh yeah.
Yeah, an authentic soda fountain from the 1930s.
Fun
I
stuff.
think it
I've been there a
is.
few times.
So,
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's great.
I gotta say, Miss Latham is saying hi.
Oh, well,
One of our
tell her we said
colleagues.
hello.
Hello, Miss Latham. So I love it. I don't know if you figured it out, but at Greenbrier, we just have a big old time. We really do.
We do. We
So
have
if-
some wonderful
If
people.
we've got any job openings, you might want to get on them and apply so you can come and be a part of the party, because we have a really good
It's a
time.
club you want to be part of.
Yeah, it is. It really is, and I love it so much. And it's just an absolute blast. And I'm so. I know that you talk about your hiring process. They were super tickled to get you. I've
Well, I
heard they're
appreciate
like, we've got. He's a professor, and he's. They were so excited before I even met you. I was hearing all kinds of things about
They're
you.
more impressed with it than I am. I'm just happy to
You're
be here.
talented.
Just happy
and,
to be here.
Well, we're tickled to have you, and you bring so much to the table for these
thank you.
students that
Thank you.
I tell them. I've told my kids, that young lady I was telling you about, I said, that's where you need to be. I said, you're interested in this. That's who you need to be learning from. And so I'm just thrilled that they've got access to your ability. Now, before we go, we've got just a couple of minutes. your church, when do y'all have your worship times? Invite them to church.
So
'Cause
we
you're
do-
the worship minister,
I
right?
am,
You and your
yes.
wife
Yep.
are the worship ministers.
Yes, we are.
Right.
And we do Sunday school at 9:30.
Okay.
And then worship services at 10:30. We have just said farewell to our outgoing pastor, Cheryl Hall. Phenomenal pastor. She's moving on. Church in the Rivergate area.
Okay.
And then we will welcome Pastor John Vita next week, not this coming Sunday, but the week after that.
Okay.
So it's a new adventure. So every time we have a pastoral change, it's always this week between when we do trash and treasures. So,
Okay.
but we'll give a shout out and a welcoming announcement pretty regularly of who we are. That we welcome everybody in. We'd love to, if someone doesn't have a home church, we'd love to have them come worship with us. It's a really a loving church family, and it's very much that. We've been there for almost 9 years now. It'll be 9 years next month. But it seemed like a
minute.
Just a minute. And it seems like and at the same time, it seems like we've always known these people.
Right.
They became church family right out of the gate. We're not there because it's a job.
No, it's
We're
family.
there because we choose to be there. And this tiny little church, we've had people say, why don't you move to a bigger church with no, this is where God has called us right now. This is where we're supposed to be. This is church family. So and hopefully he'll keep us there for a good while longer. So
I get that. And I just always want people to share their worship times, because if you're somebody that has not plugged in, and I've got my church family at Madison, I got my crazy cousins at Epiphany. I tell them, I have all these little connections, but if you've not found that place to plug in with a spiritual family, keep looking, keep knocking on the doors. You will find your fit, but you've got to seek it. It's not going to come. I mean, sometimes they will knock on your door, but you've got to keep looking. And this is another possibility. Pop in and see them. Do you have a Sunday night service, or are you Sunday mornings?
we don't. We're Sunday mornings.
Okay.
We're Sunday mornings. We do choir rehearsals and some other things Wednesday evenings.
during the
But
week.
even during the summer, we try to meet once a month and kind of we do a longer rehearsal that frees up everybody
Right.
to go do things, vacations
sure.
and that kind of thing. And then in the fall we start meeting weekly again. But I think Pastor John, I think he's got some things planned coming up too. I had just one brief initial meeting with him, but I think he's planning on doing some things that might open those doors a little more often, a little more frequently. Just remember that the church is made up of people just like you and me. We're all imperfect. We're all working. We're all this side of the journey. So keep searching until you find folks that can help you along that journey.
And that teaches you that you're living in your eternity now.
Exactly.
And you can choose to live in kingdom instead of empire. Yeah, you need to go check out Bema so you understand that reference.
I will.
It's good. It's good stuff. I appreciate you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you for having us.
Eric
having
Wilson.
me.
And absolutely. And I'll keep talking about what's happening in Cross Plains this weekend. And I'm going to do my very best to be there so I can come hear all you guys. I know it's going to be wonderful. And thank you guys for joining us. Tomorrow is not Veterans Day, but we'll have the Veterans Service Office in here. Miss Judy will be in here. And we'll talk about all the things going on that you need to know about the Veterans Service Office. They're going to be moving to their new location. The mayor's going to be over in that building as well. So we'll be talking about all those things and find out what's going on once you're over where you're living. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless.